We live in a time where people feel the need to share everything. Social media, conversations with friends, even casual encounters. People are constantly giving out details about their lives, their plans, and their struggles. But here's the truth. Not everyone needs to know your business. Not everyone around you is for you. Not everyone clapping for you is celebrating you. Some people are simply gathering information, waiting for the perfect moment to criticize, discourage, or even sabotage what God is doing in your life. When you share too much, you invite unnecessary opinions. You allow voices into your life that were never meant to be there. You open the door to doubt, negativity, and distractions. Some people don't need to know your dreams because they can't see what God has placed in your heart. They don't need to know your struggles because they may use them against you. They don't need to know your next move because not everyone will cheer for you when you step into your purpose. Keeping certain things private isn't about being secretive, it's about being wise. Think about Joseph in the Bible. God gave him a dream, a vision of greatness, a destiny beyond his imagination. But when he shared that dream with his brothers, what happened? Instead of celebrating him, they resented him. Instead of supporting him, they plotted against him. His own family turned on him, and he found himself betrayed, sold into slavery, and facing hardship after hardship. Why? Because he spoke too soon. He shared something that was meant to be nurtured in private. Had he kept that vision between himself and God, perhaps his journey wouldn't have been so difficult. There are moments in life when God plants a dream inside of you, and that dream is in its infancy. It's fragile, it's still growing, and it needs time to develop. The wrong words from the wrong people can kill something before it ever has the chance to flourish. You don't owe everyone an explanation. You don't have to justify why you're making certain moves, why you're stepping into new opportunities, why you're distancing yourself from certain environments. Your life is not a community project for everyone to have a say. People will always have opinions. Some will encourage you, but others will doubt you. Some will uplift you, but others will try to bring you down. If you constantly look for validation, you will find yourself running in circles, never truly stepping into the greatness God has for you. Because the more you depend on people's approval, the more you become a slave to their opinions. And the truth is, some of the very people who act like they support you secretly hope you fail. There are things in your life that need to remain between you and God. The dreams He's given you, the vision He's placed in your heart, the prayers you're praying. These are sacred. The enemy can't attack what he doesn't know. The enemy can't block what hasn't been exposed. Some of your battles wouldn't even exist if you had kept certain things to yourself. Look at Jesus. He performed miracles, healed the sick, raised the dead, but He didn't go around explaining Himself to everyone. He didn't seek approval from the Pharisees. He didn't need validation from the religious leaders. He walked in His purpose with confidence, knowing that His assignment came from His Father. Some of you are wasting energy trying to convince people who were never meant to understand your calling. You're trying to explain yourself to people who don't even have the capacity to comprehend what God is doing in your life. When you keep your life private, you protect your peace. You protect your energy. You free yourself from unnecessary stress and distractions. You don't owe everyone an update. You don't need to post everything, announce everything, or defend every decision you make. Some things need to remain between you, God, and the right people He places in your life. There's a reason successful people move in silence. There's a reason people with strong faith don't broadcast every battle, because they understand that not everyone needs access to their journey. When you guard your life, you guard your destiny. When you stop sharing everything, you stop allowing outside opinions to shape your path, the less you say, the less people can interfere. There is a strength in silence that most people overlook. In a world where everyone is rushing to share their thoughts, opinions, and every detail of their lives, there is something powerful about a person who knows when to stay quiet. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not a lack of confidence. Silence is wisdom. It is a strategy. It is a shield that protects you from unnecessary battles and distractions. Some of the greatest victories in life are won not by speaking, but by holding your peace. When you remain silent, you maintain control. The moment you speak, you give people insight into your thoughts, your plans, your emotions. And the truth is, not everyone deserves that access. Some people are waiting for you to say the wrong thing so they can twist your words. Some are waiting for you to open up so they can use your vulnerability against you. Others are simply curious, gathering information, not because they care, but because they want something to talk about. When you understand the power of silence, you no longer feel the need to explain yourself to everyone. You no longer feel pressure to prove your worth through words. You let your actions speak for you. Look at Jesus when he was brought before Pilate. The people accused him, mocked him, questioned him, but he did not defend himself. He remained silent. Why? Because he knew who he was. He didn't need to argue. He didn't need to prove his identity. He understood that the truth doesn't always need to be spoken. It simply needs to be lived. Some of you are wasting energy trying to explain yourself to people who have already made up their minds about you. You're trying to justify your choices to those who will never understand your journey. But when you realize that silence is power, you free yourself from the need for validation. Think about the greatest leaders, the most successful individuals. They don't broadcast their every move. They don't react to every insult. They don't engage in unnecessary debates. Why? Because they know that responding to negativity only fuels it. They understand that not every battle is worth fighting. Some things are better left unaddressed. Some situations resolve themselves when you refuse to give them attention. Silence also gives you clarity. When you're always speaking, you don't give yourself time to listen. When you're always explaining, you don't have space to reflect. There are moments in life when you need to step back, remain quiet, and allow God to work. You don't always need to defend yourself. You don't always need to correct the lies people tell about you. You don't always need to clap back when someone disrespects you. Sometimes your silence is the greatest response. It shows maturity. It shows discipline. It shows that you are focused on what truly matters. People often mistake silence for weakness, but it takes strength to hold your tongue when you could easily respond. It takes wisdom to walk away from an argument when you know you could win. It takes confidence to remain quiet when others expect you to react. But when you master this, you step into a new level of peace. You stop being controlled by other people's words. You stop being manipulated by their opinions. You learn to operate from a place of wisdom rather than emotion. Even in your personal life, silence is a tool. When you don't reveal everything, you maintain an element of mystery. People can't predict your next move. They can't interfere with your plans. They can't manipulate you with what they don't know. Some doors in your life will open simply because you chose to keep quiet. Some battles will be won simply because you refuse to engage in unnecessary conversation. Some blessings will remain secure because you didn't share them with the wrong people. The less you speak, the more you observe. The more you observe, the better you understand the people around you. Not everyone who smiles at you is a friend. Not everyone who listens to you has good intentions. When you are quiet, you can discern the motives of those around you. You can see who truly supports you and who is simply waiting for an opportunity to take advantage of you. Silence allows you to move wisely, to make decisions without interference, and to protect yourself from unnecessary drama. Silence is not just about withholding words, it's about mastering your emotions. When you are silent, you train yourself to respond rather than react. You learn to pause before speaking, to think before acting. You gain control over your temper, your impulses, and your decisions. You become a person who moves with purpose rather than someone who is easily swayed by every situation. When you learn to embrace silence, you discover a new level of power. You realize that not everything requires your response. Not every comment deserves your attention. Not every argument needs your participation. When you stop explaining yourself, defending yourself, and reacting to everything around you, you step into a place of true strength. You move with wisdom. You protect your peace, and you allow your life to speak for itself. Your energy is one of the most valuable things you have. It's the force that drives you, the strength that allows you to move forward, the light that others see when they look at you. But too often, people waste their energy on things that don't serve them. They give their time, attention, and emotions to negativity, to drama, to people who don't deserve access to them. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it's necessary. If you allow the wrong people, the wrong situations, and the wrong thoughts to drain you, you will find yourself exhausted, frustrated, and unable to focus on what truly matters. When you wake up in the morning, you have a choice. You can spend your energy wisely, investing it in things that bring you joy, growth, and peace, or you can let distractions take from you. There are people in your life right now who don't pour into you, they only take. They come to you with their problems, their negativity, their drama, and they leave you feeling drained. Every conversation with them feels heavy. Every interaction leaves you tired. And yet you keep giving, you keep showing up. But at what cost? You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are constantly giving your energy away to the wrong things, you will have nothing left for the things that truly matter. Your energy is sacred, because it determines your quality of life. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to be happy, always seem to be at peace, no matter what is happening around them? It's not because they have no problems. It's because they are careful about where they invest their energy. They don't waste time arguing over things that don't matter. They don't let small inconveniences ruin their day. They don't dwell on things they cannot control. Instead, they focus on what uplifts them, what strengthens them, what moves them closer to their purpose. The enemy wants you distracted. He wants you drained. He wants you so caught up in meaningless battles that you don't have the strength to fight for what's truly important. He wants you scrolling endlessly, comparing your life to others. He wants you arguing with people who will never see your worth. He wants you replaying old conversations, dwelling on past hurts, obsessing over what could have been. Why? Because the more you waste your energy on these things, the less power you have to walk in your calling. The more you allow negativity to take up space in your mind, the less room you have for joy, for peace, for purpose. You must become intentional about where your energy goes. Not everyone deserves a response. Not every situation requires your involvement. There are battles that are simply not worth your time. When you engage with toxic people, you lower yourself to their level. When you give attention to negativity, you feed it. When you dwell on what went wrong, you rob yourself of the ability to move forward. You need to ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Before you respond to that text, before you engage in that argument, before you let your mind spiral into worry, ask yourself, is this bringing me peace or is it taking from me? If it's taking from you, let it go. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life come when you decide to stop giving your energy to things that don't align with your purpose. There are relationships you need to step away from, not because you don't love those people, but because they are draining you. There are conversations you need to avoid, not because you don't have an opinion, but because engaging in them serves no purpose. There are thoughts you need to reject, not because they aren't real, but because dwelling on them won't change anything. Look at Jesus. He didn't waste his energy proving himself to everyone. He didn't argue with every Pharisee who doubted him. He didn't spend his days worrying about what others thought. He stayed focused on his mission. He protected his peace. He knew that his time and energy were too valuable to be wasted on people who weren't ready to receive him. And because of that, he was able to fulfill his purpose. The Son of God himself didn't allow distractions to drain him. Why should you? Your energy is the fuel that powers your destiny. If you waste it, you will find yourself empty. But if you guard it, if you invest it wisely, you will have the strength to walk in everything God has for you. You will have the clarity to see opportunities, the wisdom to make the right decisions, and the peace to enjoy your life. But it starts with a choice to stop letting negativity steal your joy, a choice to stop giving your time to things that don't serve you, a choice to protect what God has placed inside of you. When you live for applause, you become a prisoner to people's expectations. If your joy, your peace, and your self-worth are based on how many people approve of you, you will always be chasing something you can never fully catch. The truth is, no matter how much you do, no matter how well you perform, there will always be someone who thinks you should be doing more, doing it differently, or not doing it at all. That's why you must stay focused on your purpose and stop seeking validation from others. What God has placed inside of you is not for everyone to understand, and it's not for everyone to approve. If you keep looking to people to affirm what God has already spoken over your life, you will waste valuable time trying to prove yourself when you should be walking boldly in your calling. There will always be distractions. There will always be opinions. There will always be people who don't see your vision the way you do. If you let those voices dictate your decisions, you will live in a cycle of doubt and hesitation, never fully stepping into what you were created to do. Purpose requires focus. It requires discipline. It requires the ability to shut out the noise and keep moving forward, even when people don't understand, even when they don't support you, even when they criticize your journey. Some of the greatest people in history were ridiculed, doubted, and misunderstood while they were working toward their purpose. But they didn't stop. They didn't quit. They didn't waste their energy trying to explain themselves to people who weren't meant to see what God had placed inside of them. Look at Nehemiah. He was on a mission to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. He faced opposition, people who mocked him, people who tried to distract him. But Nehemiah had one response: I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. That's the mindset you need to have. You are doing a great work. You are building something that matters. You are pursuing something that has purpose, and you cannot afford to come down to argue with people who don't see it. You cannot afford to come down to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You cannot afford to come down to entertain negativity, doubt, or fear. If Nehemiah had stopped every time someone questioned him, he would have never finished his assignment. If you stop every time someone doubts you, you will never reach the level you are destined for. People's opinions do not determine your purpose. What they think about your dream, your career, your decisions, it doesn't change the fact that God has called you to something greater. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. Some of the very people who criticize you today will be the same ones who celebrate you when you succeed. But you can't spend your life waiting for them to see your worth. You have to see it first. You have to believe in what God has placed inside of you, even when no one else does. The enemy knows that if he can't stop you, he will try to distract you. He will use small, petty conflicts to get you off track. He will use unnecessary arguments to drain your energy. He will use fear and doubt to make you second guess yourself. That's why you have to stay locked in. You have to protect your mind from negativity. You have to guard your heart from discouragement. You have to remind yourself daily that your assignment is bigger than opinions, bigger than temporary emotions, bigger than whatever is trying to pull you off course. When Jesus was on his way to the cross, he didn't stop to argue with his accusers. He didn't waste time explaining himself to those who doubted him. He didn't get distracted by the people who mocked him. He stayed focused on his purpose. because he knew that what he was called to do was far more important than what people were saying about him. That's the level of focus you need. You need to have a vision so strong that nothing can shake it. You need to have a purpose so clear that no amount of criticism can make you abandon it. Too many people miss their destiny because they are too concerned with what others think. They hesitate, they hold back, they water down their dreams to make other people comfortable. But the problem is, when you live for approval, you never live for yourself. You become trapped by the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of standing out. But real success, real fulfillment, real joy comes when you break free from that and decide to walk boldly in the path God has set for you. Every great person had to make this decision at some point. They had to choose to focus on their purpose even when it wasn't popular. They had to keep going even when it didn't make sense to others. They had to move forward even when people doubted them. You have the same choice. You can let distractions, opinions, and temporary emotions keep you stuck. Or you can set your eyes on the vision ahead and refuse to be moved. Because the truth is, the only way to truly succeed, to truly live a life of purpose, is to stay focused on the calling that God has placed inside of you. One of the hardest things to do in life is to stay silent when you are being misunderstood. When people question your intentions, spread rumors about you, or try to make you look bad, everything in you wants to step up and defend yourself. You want to explain, you want to correct them, you want to make sure everyone knows the truth. But there is a time to speak, and there is a time to be still. There is a time to explain, and there is a time to let God defend you. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every false accusation needs your response. Not every opinion needs to be corrected. The more you try to defend yourself, the more you distract yourself from the path God has for you. People are always going to have something to say. Some will misunderstand you, not because you did something wrong, but because they are looking at you through their own lens of insecurity, jealousy, or limited understanding. Some will twist your words, not because you weren't clear, but because they don't want to see you in a good light. Some will question your success, not because you didn't earn it, but because they can't handle the fact that God is blessing you. You cannot control what people say, but you can control how you respond. And sometimes the best response is no response at all. Look at Jesus. He was perfect. He did nothing wrong, yet he was constantly accused, criticized, and misunderstood. When he stood before Pilate facing false accusations, he had every right to defend himself. He could have explained, he could have argued, he could have made a case for his innocence, but instead he remained silent. He understood that he didn't need to prove himself to people who had already made up their minds. He knew that his purpose was greater than their opinions. If Jesus, the Son of God, didn't feel the need to defend himself against false accusations, why do you? When you try to fight every battle, you wear yourself out. You waste your energy trying to convince people who will never see your worth. You get caught up in arguments that don't serve you. But when you let God defend you, you stay in peace. You stop worrying about what people think. You stop feeling the need to explain every move you make. You trust that in the right time, the truth will come out and God will handle those who try to come against you. There is a story in the Bible about King Jehoshaphat. He faced a massive army, a battle he could not win on his own. Instead of panicking, instead of trying to fight it in his own strength, he turned to God. He prayed and God spoke to him saying, "You will not have to fight this battle. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord." Jehoshaphat and his army didn't even have to lift a finger. God fought for them. The enemy was defeated without them having to do anything. That's what happens when you let God be your defender. He can clear your name better than you ever could. He can silence your enemies without you having to say a word. Sometimes God allows people to misunderstand you to see if you will trust Him. Will you let go of the need to be right, the need to be liked, the need to have the last word? Or will you trust that He is working behind the scenes, setting the record straight in ways you cannot see? When you focus on your purpose and stay in peace, you rise above the drama, you rise above the noise. You show people that your confidence is not in their approval, but in God's plan for your life. The enemy wants you distracted. He wants you caught up in unnecessary battles. He wants you defending yourself instead of walking in your calling. But when you truly understand that God is your defender, you stop fighting battles that aren't meant for you. You stop chasing validation. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who are never going to support you. You focus on what really matters. And when you do that, you find a new level of peace, a new level of freedom, a new level of confidence that no one can take from you. In this journey of life, it's essential to understand the value of protecting your peace and staying focused on your purpose. Not everyone needs to know your business, and not everyone deserves access to your energy or your dreams. Silence holds a power that many fail to recognize, a power that shields you from unnecessary distractions and lets you maintain clarity. Your energy is sacred, and how you choose to invest it will determine the course of your life. Protect it, guard it, stay focused on what God has placed inside of you, even when others don't understand. As you walk the path of your purpose, remember that not every battle needs to be fought, and not every accusation needs your defense. Let God be your defender. Trust that in His timing, the truth will prevail, and you will continue to walk in the blessing He has for you. Stay rooted in who you are, anchored in His promises, and determined to live the life He's designed for you. When you protect your peace, embrace silence, focus on your purpose, and trust in God's plan, you will see your life flourish in ways that surpass anything you could imagine. Keep moving forward, trusting that your peace is worth protecting and your purpose is worth pursuing.